Dear crypto community and blockchain buddies across the globe, welcome back to Cryptonites, the no BS blockchain built with the community for the community. And today we are live at the Crypto Compare Digital Assets Summit conference, which is absolutely mind-blowing. We have some amazing speakers. And speaking of which, we're here today with Ted Lin, CGO at Binance. A pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
So Ted, we were talking about books a little bit earlier, and we seem to be a bit geeky on that side. I saw a few of the really cool books you had. Do you mind kicking off telling us about what was one of the books that really got your interest recently?
Sure. It's actually an old book. So Crossing the Chasm, as well as Inside the Tornado by Jeffrey Moore. It's a series talking about how technology disruption goes through different phases, and how most technological innovations fail when they do not cross the chasm from early adopter to early majority. So that's a book I actually first read, but repeatedly reread throughout the years. First read it in like 1995-ish, actually close to a 2000 era. And then after I joined these different industry revolutions, technological revolutions from mobile to distributed computing, to cloud computing and now blockchain, I do see that pattern very vividly. And I do believe that no matter how much you know about the actual pattern, it's really, really hard to go against the chasm and make that switch from early adopters to early majority. So it's one of the things I'm always conscious about. So I would say it's very profound for me.
It's a really helpful book for the crypto asset space or cryptocurrency in general, right? Because it's technological items and case studies and examples, right? So how far are we from crossing the chasm and reaching mass adoption? That's a debate that is everywhere. Do you feel like we're getting close or still far away from mass adoption?
I think we're still quite early. So we have yet to set up the different bowling pins in the bowling alley. So in that book, it talks about how a technology needs to display or showcase its actual benefit and advantage compared to other alternatives in different verticals, in different usage scenarios. And we see that blockchain and, the best use case of blockchain right now is probably crypto. And even inside crypto, we have yet to show its definitive better alternative to fiat in remittance, in payment, in store of value, in every way. So the only way really is to showcase it in verticals or in applications. Say, for example, in Venezuela, when the local currency is highly volatile when it comes to fiat, a Bitcoin or any kind of cryptocurrency may be relatively less volatile, and therefore it's a much better store of value. And based on what they store in, they want to pay for that, pay for stuff using that, and therefore the payment becomes a potential use in relation to that as well. So I think right now we do have to establish the bowling pin. So that's what I would say is where blockchain crypto is at the moment.
That's beautifully put, and you have some really, really good points with related to that. And I know that you're also a father of two beautiful kids. Just saw their picture. Yes. Do you believe that eventually that they will be using crypto or cryptocurrency and blockchain will be a part of their life eventually? Or I know it's impossible to put how many years, but how would you see it play out in terms of the generations and the years to come?
Sure. I mean, there's quite a few trends that would definitely be happening just sooner or later. First of all, I think by the time they grow up, they won't even need to drive. Self-driving car will be all over the place, maybe even like flying drones that take people around. I think blockchain will definitely be used in multiple fronts, but it may not be the only technology in town. Crypto will definitely be the most prevalent form of which money is manifested. So money will still be the basic unit of measure for value. When we work, when we create value, when we transfer value, when we pay for certain goods and services with the unit value, money will still be in need. But how money is implemented, whether it's going to be based on pieces of paper, where a government says, let that be money and it becomes money, or it will be based on cryptographic technology. So cryptocurrency will actually be the form of money we use. I believe it's the latter. I believe cryptocurrency will be the technology based on which money will be manifested. So by the time they grow up, I mean, Lucas is 4 right now. By the time they grow up, they don't have to drive and they'll be spending money perhaps they won't even be talking about crypto anymore because it's so mundane. It's just the underlying technology. But I definitely believe crypto is the better alternative.
That sounds really, really good. And you mentioned some points that were really interesting earlier about crypto mass adoption. When you look at China in terms of digital payments and in terms of adoption in technology in general, people are a lot faster. We have WeChat Pay, Alipay. For example, in Japan, everyone still uses banknotes, where it's still very money, or it's very physical still, it's tangible. And in China, for instance, digital payments are a part of daily life. Why is it that that part of the world is so fast at adopting emerging technologies?
I think there's always the private versus the public side of things. In a society where the innovators can actually reap great rewards, or if the local market, domestic market, or say, for example, the target market has so much reward to offer for the innovators that make it, that will actually incentivize the behavior of disruptive innovation. And in Japan, I would personally say the culture there is more conservative. They feel safer about the existing ways. If it works, don't mess with it. But in many other parts of the world, due to capitalism, due to disruptors mentality, they really want to give it a try. If they can disrupt it for the better, they will actually get more market share. They will get users to go their way. So there's this endless cycle of trying to get the next big pie by introducing more convenient, cheaper, easier to use technology. And I think it's a natural result of both the culture, the policy, and the abundance of great ideas out there with big enough domestic markets.
It's amazing. I'm always like blown away. I mean, I saw literally like homeless people with WeChat Pay ready to receive money off the streets or at stalls. Just the technology is mind-blowing. So speaking of which, there's something that was really interesting. I read a blog recently, and they were talking about how the President Xi Jinping wanted to devaluate the actual Chinese yuan to help with trading businesses, and we saw a huge pump in Bitcoin recently. And that theorist, was basically saying that a lot of people who were afraid of the Chinese yuan devaluating were actually putting money into Bitcoin as a safe haven, or being afraid to actually lose a part of their wealth. Is that feasible? Is that doable? Because I heard that it's really difficult to get crypto in China as of today.
I mean, there are still some ways. Just people have to find their own way. It's not officialized. So I mean, switching your value into different asset classes, whether crypto or non-crypto, it's quite a common play in any country, any society. I wouldn't say it's just the move was due to that particular comment by the government, but I think overall there's definitely a need, or even the institutions are seeing a demand for exposure to the crypto asset class, because you do get exposure to the upside with a certain limit to the downside. So just by mixing it up, people do have a better return overall.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of crypto asset classes, there's something I would love to ask you, because we saw that from 2014 to 2017, it was kind of like the battle of the cryptocurrencies. So we had Bitcoin, Dash, Litecoin. Those are the main kind of hyped cryptocurrencies. And then after 2017, we had the protocols. Ethereum came in, and then EOS a little bit later. And we have, let's say, for instance, Tezos today, and many other platforms that are neo ontology. But one asset class that I feel didn't get enough attention were the exchange tokens. And BNB, according to research, beat Bitcoin by 151% in 2018, and is also the best performing token in 2019 so far. What is the magic behind the BNB coin, and what is the innovation? What do you think brought so much success to this coin?
Sure.
Yeah.
The price performance any asset class, I would say, is still down to the supply and demand. I look at it simplistically and think it's the summation of all the interest level of the entire market combined. It just so goes that for the BNB coin, the Binance coin, there are a lot of supporters of what Binance is doing, what we're building, more than the pessimists. So in a way, the demand more than supply resulted in a positive price movement. We cannot definitively say that we have anything directly to do with the price, because it is surely the market movement due to the market mechanism. But we're very confident that by continuing to focus on building, it's the only way for more supporters to join our journey. So I would say, if you're looking for whether there's a continued positive movement or how it's going to go, we cannot put our finger on it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. But if we continue building, there will be more supporters who believe in it, and that will actually be a good outcome.
It was definitely, to us who like to analyze and make lots of reports with regards to utility tokens, it was one of the first multi-utility tokens that had real value to us, at least. And I remember telling you a little bit earlier, I had emotional debates about people just saying that utility tokens were just buying thin air, but this one had real value, so it was absolutely amazing. And most recently, you guys added an extra utility which came with the IEOs. And this is a huge topic these days. Do you mind, Ted, telling us a little bit more about what is an IEO, why do we have them, and examples from Binance?
So ICO was a thing, well, still is a thing. It was very hot in 2017, slowed down in 2018. In 2019, it's actually a lot less visible or a lot less popular due to regulation, due to people finding out that it's actually quite easy to step on landmines, because a lot of unconscientious or potential intentional fraudsters out there who's trying to make a run with the honest investors' money. So ICO has taken a backseat because of the complexity of navigating the regulatory side of things, as well as the potential for individual investors to invest in the wrong ICO. IEO is a great platform because there's a strong demand. Strong demand coming from entrepreneurs who are serious about building projects still need a way to raise money to build their project. In the past with ICOs, they had to market their project. They had to do their whitelisting process. They had to deal with the regulatory side of things. They need to make sure that they do the community engagement to raise the awareness, and eventually at a one-to-one level, receive the crypto the investors receive and dissipate or distribute the project tokens for the ICO. So all of that is actually taking time away and attention away from the project team for them to spend more time on the project. So there's still strong demand, regardless of ICO's complexity and the winning interest due to the public's fear of ICO being a potential scam or the regulatory oversight, right? And there's still abundant supply from the investor side of things, because individuals still are seeking returns. Whether they're looking for to participate in the next big thing, or they just want to seek absolute return from the crypto they hold, there's still a lot of supply in terms of the crypto to be invested. And that kind of gave birth to IEO. With IEO, the project team can actually work with exchanges that already have a great user base, that already have a great base of KYC users, so they can actually pick and choose based on their own legal thinking, from which country, users of which countries can participate in the IEO of their project and which ones cannot, right? And through the uniform platform of exchange, where the users have been onboarded and KYC'd already, it's actually much easier, right? They don't have to worry about, okay, I need to market this to 10,000, 100,000 individuals one by one. I can just work with a reputable exchange that has decent user base, and I can instantly get access to the user base, right? And also they don't have to worry too much about the distribution of the tokens afterwards, right? So if you choose a good IEO platform on an exchange that has liquidity, and if the exchange likes your project, launches it, and clears it for secondary listing after launch, then you also take care of the listing after the launch, right? And on the user side of things, they're actually looking at, for example, okay, instead of me doing the research, I can actually see this exchange is doing the conscientious research. They have done their due diligence. So I can actually trust the curated shortlist of projects that are launching through IEO on this exchange. Now, as long as the exchange is doing their work, right? And for Binance Launchpad, we're the most known in terms of the highest bar when it comes down to the due diligence we do. So users actually like that. Instead of navigating the jungle by themselves, they can actually rely on our choices. They still need to do their own research, right? But we have shrunken the shortlist down to a super small subset in such a way that the users simply feel a lot safer, right? So there's still the demand for entrepreneurs to raise money. There's still a lot of supply from the user side where they want to seek return for their crypto, or they just want to participate in cool projects. And that gave birth to IEO. So in the near future, I continue to believe IEO will be in demand, right? And we will continue to be very, very careful about what projects we choose to launch on Binance Launchpad.
That's beautifully put. So it's a safer ICO with proper due diligence, with projects with already followings, a user base, products, or at least MVPs. It sounds like it's something that anyone could trust compared to the ICOs, because, as you said, there are many scams.
There's a gradient, and I would say if you're participating in IEO from an exchange that is reputable, you can start working from a short list instead of the exhaustive list in the market.
Yep. And has that stamp of approval from a legitimate entity.
Yes.
In that sense. And so, with regards to IEOs and their performance so far, have you seen good users? Have the projects been doing relatively well on the Binance Pad?
Yes. So the projects on the Binance Launchpad have been relatively healthy as they continue to build along, and we want that to happen. So the projects that launch on Launchpad actually cannot receive all the investment the users invest in their project right away. They can actually receive installments based on the milestone of the product development reached. So it's actually an extra layer of protection we placed for the users, on behalf of the users, and to make sure the projects continue to focus on building instead of getting their IEO investment right away.
With regards to other developments that you see in the future, so obviously IEOs are a huge topic these days, almost feels like an ICO 2.0, something more advanced, like you said, something safer to protect consumers, etc. I have a question on asking you whether the future of exchanges will be decentralized exchanges. Obviously, you guys are really committed to this space, and a lot of people believe that the future will go towards decentralized exchanges. So if you don't mind sharing your angle, your personal view on how the future of exchanges may go.
Some people prefer a centralized service because you can actually find customer service. If you use a centralized service where you trust that central authority, it's actually great. The experience the customer service can offer. If you forget your login, there's somebody to help you out to reset it. There's that option as always. And right now, centralized exchanges do garner most of the liquidity, right? It's still more popular. Decentralized exchange comes when there's need for users or demand from users to keep custody of their own crypto. So some people prefer to keep crypto themselves, and throughout the entire trading experience, they do not need to hand the crypto to a third party, right? We believe both are in need. In fact, in the future, we believe wallet is the fundamental interface everybody will have to interact with crypto in the economy. So everybody will have a few wallets based on the interface, right? So DEX is not just a future. It's actually one of the choices we're giving the users right now. And we're not betting on centralized or decentralized becoming bigger in the future. We're betting both. Right? And both will be in need. Just like in the current system, you could have, for example, parks where friends and family can go and hang out, like nice playgrounds where there is no admission. And there's cost involved in everything, of course, but there's also the centrally curated where People tell you, okay, today the theme is this, you go in this way, and there's order, there's guards, there's customer services to help you out. And you know what? Both are valid. In any kind of economy, any kind of business, centralized and decentralized both have a place. And we believe exchange is the same as well. And we want to provide that choice.
That makes so much sense because, like you said, if you bring your kids to a public park or to a Disneyland, you know, private and public, and like in that sense, it makes a lot of sense that people, even myself, I don't want to keep all of my wealth on my wallet. I do want to have like another place to put maybe a percentage of my wealth in that sense. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see. That's really interesting. With regards to the rise of STOs and security tokens, I think many people are wondering which exchanges will be able to list security tokens in the future. There's a lot of hype, but there's a lot of challenges as well before this becomes a global phenomenon where I can maybe transfer my security token to you where you live and you transfer it back to me here in the UK. How do you feel about this security token hype these days, just generally speaking?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself haven't found a compelling reason for equities to move from the traditional way of being represented and traded onto a tokenized representation using crypto. And being security, it means a KYC to the full extent possible. And there's just a lot of regulatory hurdles to overcome in addition to the technological barriers. I think technology-wise, it's pretty standard. Tokenization is a technology that's quite mature, and it's the fact that it needs to be KYC'd and to be highly compliant and highly regulated that starts to strip away some of the goodies the technology can bring. So I haven't dug into too much, but I would say security tokens would be a lot slower in being adopted use case compared to the utility tokens, the payment tokens, and other kind of tokens.
So we're pretty far from jumping the chasm like we were talking about earlier still.
Yeah, I do personally believe it's yet to showcase the compelling and absolute reason for people to convert.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, like you said, we need to have a compelling reason for all the traditional investors to change their habits, right? And move on to the blockchain, and do tokenized securities really have enough value to change their habits is definitely a question to be asked. And so Ted, today you're having a talk about market integrity, which is a fascinating topic. Obviously, many people talk about how the crypto asset sphere has lots of market manipulation, wash trading, and many issues. What is your angle, and what would you like to discuss with regards to this particular topic?
I think wash trading is a funny thing. Some of the exchanges actually see trading volume as an end game. It's actually the result they want to maximize. And as a result of their algorithm of thinking, trying to optimize for like maximum volume, they went the direct line thinking, okay, we got to fake it till we make it. And that is, I would say, the totally wrong way of thinking, because trading volume is actually a result of what you do. It's not something you do, right? If you build the right ecosystem, you have the right exchange, you have the right projects, you have the right community, people like the experience, they would come. It's not something you can go and just create this beautiful looking picture, this rosy looking voluminous chart by wash trading, and you will suddenly get the rest of the popularity. It's actually the other way around. You become popular and then you get volume, not you create volume and then you become popular. So I think it's just different philosophy. We don't engage in wash trading because it's just really bad. We actually do not have any incentive to do that. First, it actually impacts the integrity. Second, it's a waste of time. It doesn't generate any revenue, any profit, anybody at all. And thirdly, we think by focusing all the efforts on building the right product, engaging the community, choosing the right projects to list, will actually give you a lot bigger volume than whatever you can possibly try to fabricate. So
and
I would say
long term, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say the right exchanges, the right projects should focus on the right motivation.
And speaking of motivation, and you're talking about having the right product, the right experience. Personally, I had an issue with a token swap on another exchange. And despite the fact that I missed the deadline to get the token swap on Binance, you guys, my support was absolutely amazing. Not only I sent the token to the wrong wallet address, I got support within 24 hours, and guess what? I got my tokens back. So I've had a great experience with Binance, and definitely look forward to the evolution of the BNB and the utilities coming in the future. I think that you guys have really changed the name of the game when it comes to utility, and hopefully other people will try to find real use cases with their token and show that utility tokens, not just thin air or valueless.
It's not. Yeah. There's a lot of value in utility token. It's just what is the utility. That makes the difference. Not whether it's utility token or not. It's just overgeneralization. But what is that particular token's utilities about? Right? That's the debate. Yeah.
Definitely is. Thank you so much, Ted, for your time today. And we definitely look forward to having you another time in the future from the UK. All right, guys, so don't forget to watch Ted's talk here at the Crypto Compare Digital Asset Summit. It's tons of valuable content, and see you soon.